Welcome to the WordPress Photography Podcast, the podcast for photographers who want to learn how to get the most out of WordPress to grow their photography business. You don't need to be a geek to understand WordPress. Settle back and listen as we show you how. Now, here's your host, Scott Wyden-Kivowitz.
Welcome to episode 123. My name is Scott Wyden-Kivowitz. Today is another Pivot and Shift episode. But instead of talking to a guest, I thought I would share some of my advice about what you could do if you are a photographer in a situation where you just aren't getting clients right now, where you're not getting the photography work that you would normally get in person because of everything going on. Now, of course, the vaccines are out. They're slowly dripping out to the world, and eventually, a lot of the population of the world will be vaccinated, hopefully. Of course, there's always going to be people who are anti-vaccine, but that's a whole nother ballgame. So things are slowly getting back to normal, or some sort of normalcy. I mean, we're seeing restaurants reopen and all these different things. Schools are starting to reopen in person. Now, I want to get to this topic, though, because it's hard. You know, as photographers, we rely on looking through a camera, pushing that button, editing those photos, and delivering them to clients in either print or digital form or whatever. But we need to start looking at alternative revenue streams. So I want to share some things that you could consider for your photography business. And of course, hopefully this inspires you to find something that might work more suitable to your needs, depending on your genre, photography, your niche, things like that. So the first would be private lessons to customers. For example, either virtually or in person, but distant if you're in person, you could provide tutorials, lessons, private, one-on-one sessions where you're offering advice and teaching your clients, let's say parents, for example, to make better photos of their kids. This is something you can easily do through Zoom. This is something you can easily do through FaceTime or Skype or a Facebook room or whatever. It doesn't make a difference. You could do it in person, but yeah, that's one thing you can do. Another would be private lessons, again, but on photo album or photo book creation. How do you Shutterfly to create a book? Of course, this isn't something you would probably use for your own photography business, but it's a consumer-friendly model that you could offer advice on layouts and what works best and, which photos should you use with the other photos on the page and things like that. Another might be photo scanning. Now, you could do this with your camera. You can get set up a station and scan photos for your clients. Of course, if you have the technology, you could also do film scanning, and you could even do 8mm film, reels, video, old footage. You could scan that and digitize that rather. But photo scanning you could do with your camera, and if you want to use your phone, there's even a fantastic app called PhotoMine. That's MYNE, PhotoMine. And they have a great app, a great system for digitally scanning photos with your phone. And it even restores it and can even colorize old photos. So that's another great service that you could offer. And PhotoMine does charge, but if you're charging your clients for this service, you're going to pay that back very fast. Another would be family tree creation. A lot of families want to have a family tree, and you could do that. You could assist them with that process. And in fact, this sort of ties into photo scanning because you could actually include that, bundle that in to a service and scan old photos and create a family tree. And again, PhotoMine has a great family tree app that is really good, really impressive. Probably the most impressive family tree app I've seen anywhere. So there's that. And by the way, if you are going to be scanning photos for clients, quarantine the photos for, let's say, 4 or 5 days before you actually touch them. So like bring them into your house or your studio or wherever, leave them in whatever box that it's in for even a week, and then work on it a week later. The next thing would be doing, now if your clients are business people, if you do headshots, if you do personal branding, is to do branding advice, to do business advice for your clients, right? So, for example, you could aid in their Zoom calls. They are now doing Zoom meetings like you're doing Zoom meetings. So you could aid in that process and help them lay out their room, which you could even do virtually, by the way. You don't actually have to go there. You could aid in that process, or you can charge extra to actually go in and do it for them, including lighting and things like that. And you just obviously have to mask up and wear PPE gear wherever you can, and even request that you're the only one in the room and that kind of stuff. So that's another thing you can do, is use your skills as a photographer, as a videographer, someone who is an expert in lighting and in cameras, and to make your clients look good on camera. Now, something else is something like what I'm doing right now, and that is photographer education. You, as a photographer, have knowledge, you have expertise, you have skills in something that you could teach to newcomers to the industry. So you could use your skills to teach photographers about photography and the photography business. You could do this through courses on your website, through private lessons, through Zoom or whatever, through books, ebooks, and through videos. You can put it on YouTube. You can make them private videos, whatever it is. The last alternative revenue stream I want to talk about is stock photography. Now, some photographers, stock photography is their business. So you don't really have to worry about this as much. But for photographers who are still struggling to use their camera to make revenue, there is stock photography. And you could do this and put it up on iStock or Getty or wherever, Stocksy, places like that, and earn money. You could, if you want, go the alternative route and make it free stock that you then try to upsell. Let's say like a personal license, you can upsell to a commercial license, something like that. Or you could just try selling stock on your own. And NextGen Gallery and NextGen Pro, products that we at Imagely make, is actually perfect for selling stock on your WordPress website. So if you want to sell stock photography on WordPress, check out NextGen Pro. You could do that quite easily, actually. Now, I want to hear from you. If you have an alternative revenue stream that you would like to share, please go to imagely.com/podcast/123 and share with us. Leave a comment and share your suggestions for alternative revenue streams that photographers can do right now to make more money in their business. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
You've been listening to the WordPress Photography Podcast. To listen to other episodes and to subscribe to the podcast via iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and more, please visit imagely.com/podcast.